Thank you. The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care. And
so that was Donald Trump talking about the Bible. And if you've been seeing all the stuff that's been leaking about Epstein, and we've not even seen all the files yet, if you've done like me and dove down into a rabbit hole of that, then yeah, if there's an afterlife, Donald Trump definitely needs to be brushing up on his Bible. But the fact that he sits there and talks about the Bible says to take care of children, when he's had ICE agents out here zip tying children together, when he has been he's the guy that put babies in cages, and he's the guy that went to bat so hard against babies eating this holiday season. But yeah, he's back to thinking about the Bible again. And don't be shocked if you hear him start talking about how he wants to go to heaven again. And of course, he'll grift his way all the way there. But I would not be shocked if he started saying that, because more and more people are starting to break from him, and we're starting to see things circle the drain. And I'm trying to remain hopeful. I'm trying to say this should be it. But folks, you know, in any other era, I know I say this a lot, but in any other era, what's going on right now with Epstein would absolutely destroy anyone else's political career. When I see Aaron Parnas say we have some bombshell news, he's right. It is a bombshell, absolutely. But we live in a world where we became so desensitized to Donald Trump and his bombshell news that a lot of this stuff gets away from us. And I don't think we can let this stuff get away from us. And I think the Republicans are going to have to step up to the plate and really go hard in the paint just once against this guy, because they're going to have life after him. I'm going to bring this article up here from MidasNews.com, because this right here is something that I really hope we see happen, and it's going to happen if we're ever going to get Donald Trump out from behind that desk. So right here, folks, this one's a good one. The White House braces for more than 100 Republicans voting to release the Epstein files. Speaker Johnson moves up timeline after discharge petition forces action. So House Speaker Mike Johnson announced oversight that he intends to hold a vote next week on the measure requiring the Justice Department to fully disclose its files related to the late convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The decision represents a notable acceleration of the process, signaling growing bipartisan pressure to bring long-sealed information into the public view. Johnson's announcement came only hours after the newly sworn-in Representative Adelita Grijalva of Arizona completed a discharge petition compelling the House to take up the Epstein measure. Under normal House rules, discharge petitions require a waiting period that would have delayed the vote until early December. By moving ahead more quickly, Johnson effectively bypassed that timeline and placed the issue squarely on next week's legislative agenda. And now, according to Politico, the move is expected to expose deep divisions within the Republican caucus. Many GOP lawmakers are anticipated to break ranks, potentially more than 100 members, despite Donald Trump's insistence that concerns surrounding Epstein are a Democratic hoax. The high number of expected defections suggests the rank-and-file Republicans are eager for transparency on a matter that has fueled public suspicion for years. Despite this, only 4 Republicans joined all the Democrats in signing the discharge petition, but following Grijalva's swearing in, several Republicans have already came out and signaled their support for the full House vote. If the measure passes, it could compel the Justice Department to release all of the remaining Epstein-related documents, potentially shedding light on the long unanswered questions about his criminal network, his influential associates, and circumstances surrounding his death. But after it passes the House, it will still need to pass the U.S. Senate and get signed into law by Donald Trump. The real question is, will they get enough Republicans to break to ensure a veto-proof majority in the House and Senate? And that one was written by Aaron Parnas. Shout out to him. I love his work. Yeah, folks, you know, there's going to come a point that these people are going to have to realize that their ass is on the line with this one too. And when I heard that they were meeting with Lauren Boebert and going to try to pressure her into changing her vote, I knew it was serious. And I was really worried that Boebert would cave, but it looks like she hasn't. And I'm going to be playing some clips here. These are from Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna talking more about this.
Wait, I got to give credit to Lauren Boebert to walk into the White House, the center of power, the free world, really, and to sustain that and to come back out and to be solid. and also to Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was all the speculation that they might take their names off, and they never did. So it's not a hoax. It's not a moot point. It is a very serious thing. There are 1,000 victims, and there are survivors who have had a press conference with Ro Khanna and I, and that's what we're fighting for, justice for them.
Did y'all talk to them at any point during this, as the White House was making clear they were targeting these members?
I talked to them. I don't want to say which one I had this conversation with, but one of them was told, we can't let Massey have a win. How petty is that? I mean, this is more than about political wins. It's about getting transparency and justice, which, by the way, this administration promised. You have the Vice President, J.D. Vance, you have the AG, you have the FBI Director. They've all done a 180 on this.
So the White House said to one of these members that they didn't want you to have a win here.
That's correct.
Folks, it's so pathetic that it's come down to this is all about a political win. And I see that so much. Anytime something comes out, then someone comes behind it and says, yeah, well, what about Bill Clinton? This ain't about Bill Clinton versus Donald Trump. This ain't about Republicans versus Democrats. This isn't about Thomas Massey getting a win. It's absolutely ridiculous that people always tries to spin it that way. It's about the victims, and that's what we should all be focused on. And if the victims, we want to see people brought to justice for the victims, regardless of their political party. And after this is all over, there's going to be a whole lot of them that's going to have to answer for this in 2028 and beyond. They're going to be in 2030. They're going to be in 32. They're going to be sitting there in debates. And there's going to be people saying, yeah, well, you went to bat to protect the pedophile ring. And Thomas Massey brings that point across in this next clip.
And how many Republicans do you think will vote for this on the floor?
Well, I've already had a couple Republicans tell my office privately that they're going to vote for it, and I think that could snowball. The deal for Republicans on this vote is that Trump will protect you if you vote the wrong way. In other words, if you vote to cover up for pedophiles, you've got cover in a Republican primary. But I would remind my colleagues that this vote is going to be on your record for longer than Trump is going to be president. And what are you going to do in 2028 and 2030 when you're in a debate, either with a Republican or a Democrat, and they say, how can we trust you? You covered up for a pedophile back in 2025.
And the goal for Thomas Massey then, Jake, is to get...
That's what so many of these people needs to understand. There's going to be life after Donald Trump, and he may be able to protect them right now in this particular moment, but there's going to come that moment when he's not going to be around anymore, and they're not going to have political careers. And if you just sit here and stop and think about what's just came out just so far, and just think that's the tip of the iceberg, all the other things that could potentially come out, how in the hell will Donald Trump escape this one? Now, I know he's always Teflon Don. Nothing ever sticks to him. He manages to slip and slide out of everything and distract, but we can't allow them to distract. We've got to stay on point, and we've got to see this story come all the way out. And when it does, I don't care about Democrats. I don't care about Republicans. We care about the victims, and we want to see justice for them. But when this is all said and done, the Republican Party, the one that claimed to be pro-life, the one that claimed to care so much about children and protecting children, they're going to be the ones that went down protecting the biggest pedophile ring ever, the biggest child sex traffickers. They're going to be the ones that's going to be their legacy. It's going to be a stain on them forever. And they're also the party of January 6th. So that's the type of people we're dealing with, and I know that I say that all the time, but I just want to keep bringing it across. We're not dealing with reasonable people here. We're dealing with people who are so spineless, they'll go to bat for a president now, not having the foresight to realize that they're not going to have a career when it's all over. It's absolutely shameful. It's absolutely disgusting. We have to hold their feet to the fire. And if that's just the tip of the iceberg, what the hell is that iceberg?